get on their feet. We have some guests for to welcome the stage. Give it up for Wings Hauser!
Yeah!
And let's also give it up for Gary Swanson! Quite a different reaction from how the movie ended, isn't it?
Like comedy, everybody laughing, yes? We haven't seen each other in 25 years. Ah, man, are you beautiful.
The reason why I'm breathing this is because I had pneumonia about a year ago, and it flares up every now and then. So I have to do this. And it usually happens when I do public speaking. Public speaking. Okay. Anyhow, shout outs to all the Midnight Cowboys, Silent Valley Team, and all the rest of you motherfuckers. Shut up down. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support.
I want to thank you all for being here to get us back together again. 25 years, and this was when we bonded on the movie. We developed a communication not only as actors but as friends, and this man makes me laugh more than anybody you can imagine. And we haven't seen each other, and for the last 2 years, we've been talking on the phone almost every day. Right? Right?
Yeah. I love you, man.
Wow.
So, Gary and Wings, how did you both become involved with Vice Squad? What was your individual journeys to get to be in this movie?
Well, go ahead, Gary.
Well, Wings was a star already. You have to understand. Not only was he the most charismatic guy to walk into anywhere he went, but he's also a great musician. So when I got to LA and I started making my way through, I finally, you work your way up, you do shows here and there, and you suddenly they say you got this audition, and you go in and you meet the people and they like it, they give you a call back. So then all of a sudden the agent calls and said, you got this movie. And it's a pretty good movie. It was a low budget film, nobody knew anything about it. It was based on a documentary. You saw what the movie was. It was beautifully constructed, and I think it came out of that documentary. But he and I met on the set, and I thought, who this guy is? He's pure charisma. I mean, everywhere he went, everybody followed. Even off the set, he walked in a bar. It was like I used to just follow behind, and watch the whole thing happen. But we became great friends on the movie, and the movie was it was a tough shoot. It was not an easy shoot, as you can imagine. We got together and we started to talk, and they didn't like me. Nobody liked me from the very beginning of that movie. And he became my he became my source of stability, really. So I would go to Wings for my,
I think the best time we had was this guy who did props. I'm sure he came by and he said, "Do you want some real cocaine?" Should I go any further? Or bone marrow? I said, "What's bone marrow?" But I'll take the real cocaine. My nose is running, thinking about it. I don't do it anymore. With my fucking nose. Anyhow, just do oxygen. So the guy gives me, I don't know, 2 or 3 grams of cocaine. And I go over to Gary's trailer, come in and say, "Gary, look at this again. I've been given all this cocaine." And I open it up, and just as we finish opening it up and displaying it, the door flies open. It's Jack Lyons, who is the PR guy for the studio. And he like goes, "I got wonderful news." And the cocaine was everywhere.
Yeah, but this was my trailer, you have to understand. So he winked, we looked around, and I hadn't done anything because I was going to be this cop, so I wasn't even drinking, right? And there's all this white powder all over the place. I mean, cocaine was everywhere anyway. I mean, it was, you drank water out of a faucet and white powder would shoot out your nose. Everybody, cops were dealing on the motorcycles. It was like a bizarre time. Everybody was just cranking.
I don't think you should go after law enforcement.
That was back then. Come on, these guys are great. I love the cops.
Anyhow, the guy just went like this. The PR guy goes, "Oh no."
Yeah, and that got my reputation going right off from the get-go. That was.
So, I was going to ask you guys, what kind of prep did you guys do individually for your roles? Because you're both on opposite sides of the law. You're a cop and you're a pimp. Like, what kind of, as you're working on those characters and developing them for yourself, what kind of work were you doing? Were you doing research? Or like in Gary's case, were you like hanging out with vice cops? And in Wayne's case, were you hanging out with pimps?
Is there water? Is there water?
Yeah, that's one.
You said there'd be water.
There's water.
Prima donnas.
For me, what happened with me was that I didn't have a lot of time to really learn about it. And I was this method actor, and I want to be real, and I'm going to be that guy. And so I hung out with the vice cops, got to know them, and got to witness what they did, and realized that the vice cops were more prone towards suicide, towards mental illness, towards alcoholism, towards everything else, because they had to play a sexual game every night. They'd have to go out and toy with their own feelings in order to attract. But one night, Season and I got together, and I said, "Let's go out on Sunset Boulevard." And you see that woman, how magnificent she was, and those legs and everything. So I go up on Sunset Boulevard with Season, and I'm dressed as a cop. I hide in the shadows, and every car on Sunset Boulevard just stopped because she put her leg out. This leg became the attraction of the world, until finally, I'm watching, and I'm standing back. I'm seeing her, and she's playing with them. Cars would run off, and all of a sudden, a big van pulls up, and these guys get out of the van, and then I knew it got real. So I went up and I said, "No, fellas, you can all go now." And that sort of gave me a little bit of something. And let me just tell one more little story here. No.
Yeah, no.
I didn't do nothing, man. He's a tough guy. By the way, you know why his name was
25 years.
You know why his name is Wings? Because he was such a great athlete. when you saw him run, he could outrun a car. It was astonishing. Anyway, I get on set. It was all-night shooting, and second or third night, and I think it was Western Boulevard, and I put the gun in my thing here, and I knew I wasn't going to shoot for a couple of hours, and I wandered off the set on Western Boulevard, and I'd heard there was a pimp bar, and there were two things going on. The white pimps were really, this was about a white pimp who was a really vicious human being, but a lot of the guys were not white, they were black, and so I went into this one bar, and I walked in with the gun, and I walked in and the whole bar shut down, and these guys are all tall, good-looking, smart, and they all had fedora hats and long things, and I realized I'm in trouble now. I'm standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, "What you doing here?" I said, "I don't know." He opens up his jacket and he's got all of these, they didn't have computers back then, they were all calculators and whatnot, and he wants to sell me a watch, and I'm going, "I don't know what the watch is, because how am I going to get out of here?" And all of a sudden, he points to the bar, and there are all these women. And he said, "You want a woman, you want this, you want that?" And I became immediately enraged to the point where I thought went through my head, how do I arrest this guy? And I put my hand on the gun, and I'm thinking, you're not a cop, Gary. You need to get out of here before you get murdered. And once I had that feeling of what I needed, I immediately knew as an actor I was set for the rest of the movie. So then I was going to get him. And that was all I was to it.
So taking that avenue of approach, what you did is you took it to the streets.
Yeah.
And that's such a wonderful way to find out what a character is and how people react to that character. Now, in my case, I was doing this play. He was a paraplegic and had MS, and he was fucked. So I was in a wheelchair, and this guy, this wonderful actor, his name is Monty Payne. You should Google him, he's a great guy. Anyhow, he was the intern pushing me down Melrose in this wheelchair. And people would look at me just in disgust, and they wanted nothing to do with me, and you just got such an idea of how these people in wheelchairs feel and how they're discounted. And then all of a sudden, we came to a curve, and I fell out of the wheelchair onto Melrose Avenue, and I'm sitting there, not breaking character. I'm laying in the dirt there, just shaking, doing this, and these people come up to my friend Monty and go, pick him up, you gotta pick him up. And go. Monty's working on a whole other character. He just goes, "I have twine." And they go, "I don't give a damn what you have. Pick the guy up. I have twine. I have twine." He just kept repeating it. And finally, I ended up in the wheelchair, and we moseyed on down the road. And what was amazing is neither one of us broke character. And when you don't break character, you really have a hold on it. And that's where you want to go. So that's always been my approach. Take it to the streets, let people react on you.
Wish Season were here. She was wonderful, wasn't she? She was just what a beautiful human being she was, really.
I was going to ask you both, what was it like working with her? Because again, you're both working on different sides of the law with Season, who's, an entrepreneur, sex worker, and you're trying to save her and you're trying to kill her. It's definitely a dynamic that carries the movie. What was your guys' working relationship with her?
Well, she was there was a scene in the morgue. Preceding that, as I mentioned, they really hated me on that shoot. And for quick background on it, when I got the opening scene in the car where I'm sipping on some stuff for my stomach and I'm looking at the street, that was my first day, and the next morning my agent called me and he goes, "What happened out there?" This is my first day on the movie. And I said, "What do you mean, what happened out there?" He said, "They don't think you're a commander." And I said, "I'm watching the streets. What the hell am I supposed to command?" They don't think you're a commander. My first day on a big movie, they don't like me as a commander. My second night, I get in a car, the sun's going down, and they had given me 8 pages of dialogue. I don't memorize very well. This is me alone with a microphone, and I have to guide these helicopters, and I've got 6 figures, and it's all like rote memory. So I get into the car, there's a giant truck ready to pull this old Cadillac with cameras, and the guys are getting the cameras up, and I'm sitting there in the car trying to go over my lines, and just before we go, the production manager comes by, and he drops a big pile of paper on my lap, and he goes, "There's the scenes." And I go, "What scenes? You mean for tomorrow? Or to next week?" He said, "No, for tonight." I said, "What do you mean for tonight?" And I looked at it, and it was 8 pages of new dialogue to be shot in a half an hour. And I'm a new guy. They already don't like what I'm doing. I go, "You gotta be," and nobody cares. They've got jobs to do. You're an actor. You're just a grind on a set. So I'm panicking. The worst actor dream when you're falling? No. Actor going out on a Broadway stage without knowing your lines and not knowing who you are. That's what I had. So I called for the script lady, who was very sympathetic. She had the things around her glasses, and I looked. I said, "What is this? What is this? 8 pages of this?" And she goes, "Honey, I know. I don't know what to tell you." I said, "Can you get me some scissors and tape, please? I need it. Scissors and tape, please." So she gets me scissors. I cut them up. I put them all over the dashboard, and I rehearsed pulling the line off, brand new lines, right? Because they're going to shoot me all night long, right? So I get all these lines, and we get through the night, and as you saw, you could see me grabbing a line here and there, but I faked it pretty well, so you couldn't tell. The next day, Sandy Howard, 6'4", ex-con producer, comes to my channel and he says, "Sandy wants to see you." I said, what about? And he comes in, he fills the whole trailer because he's so big. And he goes, "How dare you come on my movie set and not know your lines?" Because he saw the dailies, right? And I said, "What do you mean not knowing? I got a brand new script." And he didn't even want to hear about that. He said, so from that point forward, I was the enemy on the set. Everybody wanted to kill me. So the scene when I shot with Season, I had gone to Wings and I said, we had really established our friendship at that point, and he understood, and he was on my side all the way. And I said, "Wings, I'm going to cause a big scene tonight." Remember that? Yeah. I said, I'm causing a big scene tonight. I said, I have to, because I have a scene in the morgue, and I can't have everybody picking on me and then putting me in the trailer with the extras because I got like it was all this good. So I said, okay, so Wings is up in with Season up in the thing, in that scene where he's about to kill her. And that was when I set they threw me off the set, right? Because I wasn't supposed to be up there. So I went down and I said, okay, game on. Gary Sherman, not here, I hope. Sandy Howard, I think he's passed away, so good luck on that. So Gary, I say to the production manager, I want you to go, I really had no right to do this, but this is what I said. I said, I want you to go tell Gary Sherman, I don't want to get shot here, I want to get shot up here. My brother's a doctor, and he said, you break the bone there. And the production manager goes, tell him yourself. I said, listen, asshole, come over here for a second. I said, you go get him over here, or I'm gonna tear your head off and twist down your neck. Now, nobody's seen that from me before, but that was the salvo, right? And out of this old parking lot, Barry Sherman comes, he hated me anyway, you know, and he goes, what do you want? I said, I think I should be shot up here and up there. He goes, you're gonna be shot right there. I said, no, I think I should be shot up there. And he's looking at me, he said, who do you think you are? I said, who do you think you are? He says, I'm making you look great on film. I said, no, pal, I'm making you look great on film. Now, all of this is an act. All of it's an act. So he starts like ready to grumble, and Sandy Howard, 6'4", comes over, sees the whole set's now shut down, and Sandy Howard has got in his back, all of you are the crew, I'm facing this way, and Sandy Howard's punching his fist, and he's going, if I get you alone, I'd smash your face, and I'm gonna kill you. And I said, you take the first shot, my friend, then it's my turn. And the whole set's watching this thing, and he says, what? I said, listen, why don't you guys just leave me alone? Why don't you let me do it? You hired me, didn't you? Why do you have to make my life so miserable all that? Just give me a break. And they said to Sandy Howard's credit, he stood back and he stands back and he goes, well, we're making a movie here and there's always this conflict. Well, that was the night we had to shoot that scene, and I had to do that because then I was free to work. And so Season and I were able to improvise and shoot that scene in preparation for that. That's when I knew it could take over. Without him, I wouldn't have known. Without him, I couldn't have.
Wings, do you want to talk about working with Season? Because you had to do some difficult stuff with her, like how.
I had one of the most incredible evenings with her.
Microphone, my friend. What's the microphone?
Microphone.
The old country western singer.
Okay, Rusty. So anyhow, she's laying prone, and it's about to get rough, and she turns to me and she goes, Wings, I'm dry. Give me something. And she was like, we've just been doing this over and over. You just run out of stuff, and you can't emote anything left. So I knew that her child was in a hospital, a few blocks away at Children's Hospital. His name was Boston. And I communicated with myself. Do I do it? Do I really rip this woman apart with what I'm about to do? And, she'll go over the top. And so I decided to go because she wanted something. And I said, what kind of mother is on the set of a stupid movie while your son's in the hospital? Wow. Well, she got wet. She went like, it was, and then, we hugged and, it was part of the scene. It's what you do for actors, So that was an experience that was incredible. And then one of the fun times was Kurt Russell, who, I don't know if you guys saw the clip today with Bing Russell in the little trailer. You guys saw that? Mm-hmm. That's Kurt Russell's father. And Kurt Russell and I grew up in the same town, same time and everything. My father cast him in a play that Disney came and saw, and the rest is history. So, and his father turned me on to acting through The Rainmaker. So anyhow, he comes down to the set one day, and I know why he's coming, because Season's going home with bruises. And, and he's coming, and I'm like going, I know the guy's got a bad knee. If he starts swinging, I'm going to the knee. I'm going all out of baseball with him. And so he comes down and he goes, hey, wait a second, I talk to you. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, listen, Season's coming home with some, bruises. And I think you guys are getting rough. Not just you, everybody, everything, it's getting a little rough out here. And I go, really? And I open up my shirt, and there is 2 teeth marks digging into my my skin for about a quarter of an inch. Just bloody horrible stuff. And I go, really rough? And he goes, did she do that? And I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, forget it. Have the time of your life. Pretty good.
When you're playing Ramrod, at the same time, you were still doing the soap opera you were on, correct?
Yes.
So you were doing soap opera during the day, Vice Squad at night. How did you divide that workload out?
Just do it, you know. It's like you stay up till 6 o'clock in the morning doing horrible acts, and then you go to CBS. You take a shower and the black dye runs all over you. And it's just like watching Ramrod. And then you have to go be the nicest guy in the world, playing this character on The Young and the Restless called Greg Foster. But the thing is, I'd be like this. I'd be going to my sister. I'd be like, "So where were you? Where the fuck were you?" And then producers come out and go, "What are you doing?" So it was tight, man, going back and forth. But it was a lot of fun, you know. Gary was amazing to work with. He was, I worked with a lot of.
I gotta help you, microphone.
I
I want to hear you.
Oh, okay.
Especially if you're talking about me. Use the microphone.
Oh, that's it. So anyway, Gary, I worked with a lot of people and a lot of leading men. And I remember this thing I was doing on Beretta. And Richard Lynch's a great actor. He was playing my older brother, and I was dying in his arms, and tears are rolling off of Richard's face and down to me. And it's just a beautiful scene. And they go, cut, print, and you hear Robert Blake go, "Nobody cries on Beretta but me. Now, Beretta don't cry." So, I mean, you know, there are a lot of people who have sensitive egos, you know. Gary was doing the leading male guy. He could have been a complete dick, especially when it's, you know, coming apart on that role. I mean, you know, if he would have gone to the producers, you know, this guy's over the top, you know, you get it, tone him down. You know, a lot of producers would do that. Gary just enjoyed the hell out of Ramrod. And for that, my career was made. But what did it say?
There would be no movie, there would have been no Vice Squad, there would have been no enjoyment for all of you here if he didn't go all the way with being a dark, evil character. And most actors are afraid of that. They don't want to be perceived in that fashion. But he went there to such a degree that the cop would have been worthless without his performance. I sincerely mean that. I would have been just a generalized character without that performance.
When you two were doing your scenes together, did you get a chance to rehearse, or were you just kind of like...
We didn't have real scenes together.
We did one night. We were pacing back over here to go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We were peaked. We were there. We were going to kill each other. And all of a sudden, they go, "Yeah, okay, that's a wrap." And Gary and I just like, yeah. But then I think it was in the improv scene we did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you started improving, then I could improv.
Right.
And
That was the secret.
make my day. And Clint Eastwood said it, and then Reagan said it.
Made my day.
Yeah.
He started that.
I want credit for that one.
Now, this movie was obviously primarily shot at night and on Hollywood Boulevard and down the street on Sunset Boulevard. Because it was shot in the Hollywood in the 80s, did anything crazy happen around you while you were shooting this movie that kind of spilled over the movie?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, first you start out with the Japanese tourists on Hollywood Boulevard around 6 p.m. Then you move up to the hookers around 10 p.m. You know? They kind of control it till about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you would get the lady boys. And it was just like, you'd see them and you'd go, hi, how are you? And they'd go, I'll be good when I get out of these fucking heels. You know, it's, whoa, you look so good. Anyhow, that was the procession through the whole night. You'd end up, you know, at the end, just a bunch of drunks on the street, you know, and there you were, like, oh God.
By the way, that was all really accurate about the hookers. That's how they were. Season and I, one night went out and we would talk to them. We took them off the street and we'd ask them questions. And they all had one similar pathology, which was some of them were highly intelligent, funny. And you'd sit there and ultimately you'd say, why are you doing this? I mean, and they go, because he loves me. And then you follow up with, see, but he's got 7 other girls. Yes, but he loves me. And sometimes I'll bring other girls in. And then the pimp would give the girls back then, in 1980, imagine what inflation is now, they'd give the girls, they'd give them a whole bunch of rubbers, some cigarettes, and $20. And all the money they got in at the end of the night, some of them could make $400 or $500 out of multiplied times 7. That was all cash money. That made the vice cops want to desperately get these guys because the prostitutes would never turn the guys out. They'd never turn them in, ever, because they loved them, right? But to get that interesting perspective on what those women were thinking, I mean, wow, what sadness, what sadness. But that was, you know, that was a lot of, the movie was very accurate, really accurate.
I remember we were about halfway through, and most of the crew are young people, you know, just starting out because they don't charge that much money, and you know, a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. They were running into each other, we all were. Except this one guy who was a cinematographer, who was John Alcott. Now, John Alcott was...
And the award. Sorry. See, now we're back to being each other.
So, where was I?
John Alcott.
John Alcott. Anyhow, John Alcott. Just senior time. Okay. Anyhow, so we're about halfway through the movie, and we have the supreme being called John Alcott, who is Stanley Kubrick's cinematographer, and you know, he did The Shining, Barry Lyndon. I mean, we were really lucky to have this guy. And one day I called him and he was like, just looking at this wall. And it's like, John, you all right? What's happening? And he goes, it's interesting the way that you would. Stuff's in the light, and the stucco doesn't, isn't it? I went, well, yeah. So, anyhow, we got to know each other better and better every day. Finally, he said, Wings, I'd like to invite you to the Sear restaurant with my wife, Sue. And we'd love to have you this Friday night. And the Sear restaurant in those days was this very uptight French restaurant. I mean, they were shishi before shishi. And I'm like, oh God, you know, I'm from the hills, you know. So anyhow, I meet Sue, who was like, she's like the Queen of England of the day. So proper, just an iron rod of her ass. You know, just like, hey, Wings, how are you? Would you like to go down to Lyon? Like, you mean the bubble stuff? No, I like a beer. She goes, a beer? How about some caviar? You know, Tom has it flown in from Stavanger, Norway, every month. And I'm changed. And she goes, all right. How about some bread butter? No, oh yeah, that'd be nice. So anyhow, she's so proper and so loyal, you know, just out of my league. And anyhow, about halfway through, I turned to her and I say, so, Ms. Epcot, what was it like to win the Academy Award? And she, in her great proper way, looked to the heavens and said, well, I'll tell you, ladies, it's better than the best foot you'll ever have.
Fun Squad, man. Just a quick story. The last time I had not seen Wings for a long time after Vice Squad, and then I came back to LA briefly in 2000, at the turn of the new millennium, and I went to visit him and his wonderful wife, Callie, whom I think you're going to meet here. She's pretty, she's in the wings, yes. Where was I? Senior moment, okay. Oh my God. What was it? Beautiful wife, Callie. I'm sorry, I got caught up in her. What the hell is it? I don't know. You want to tell me what I was about? What? Oh yeah, okay, so here it is, sorry, thank you. What's your name? Anyway, I go and visit he and Callie, and it was great reunion, and we have some time together, and then we start talking about all the people in Vice Squad, and I mentioned this one unit production manager, his name is Jim Dyer, I think I can say that. And I say to Wings, I said, so, and what, you know, who's it? I said, how's Jim Dyer? And he goes, dead. Dead? Yes. I said, what? I said, hey, you know, it's gone, it's over. It was a Friday night. And I had to go to Beverly Hills right after that. And I am so taken aback by this horrible news, because Jim Dyer's a young guy, he's a good guy, he's very alive. And so I leave that where they are in their apartment, and I drive to Beverly Hills in total traffic. All I'm thinking about is Jim Dyer. Oh my God! Friday, and finally I get to this restaurant, Beverly Hills, with fish floating around underneath these plastic things, and it's all feng shui, and it's packed, and it's Beverly Hills, and I make my way up to the bar, thinking about Jim Dyer, and I go, oh my God, that poor guy's dead. And I wake my head, get a drink, and I'm sitting there, and I'm having a sip, and I get a tap on my back, and I turn around, and I look, and I stop. I can't move. And this guy's looking at me, Gary Swanson, I go, yeah. He goes, Jim Dyer. What are the odds of that? Right? He's dead in my mind. This ghost has just made his way through the restaurant to have a conversation with me. Jim Dyer. And then I couldn't tell him. I said, Jim, I was just told you're dead. You know. Anyway, that was the last time.
Now, I know you got, like, this shoot was a little bit rough, but I do want to ask you both about working with Gary Sherman. I know you both had vastly different experiences
Gary, where do
working.
you take that?
Oh no, he hated me. He hated me from the, I don't know what I was doing. I mean, seriously. But after that moment in the morgue scene, when I broke it all open and had to do it. By the way, that I did do that move with those guys, but that also kind of sealed my career. Word got out, you don't pick on a director and a producer, try to get into a fist fight with him and expect that it's not going to get all over Hollywood. But yeah, look, Gary Sherman, I worked with him again later on. We had a great time. I did a movie with him in San Francisco. So we got on great. He's a very talented. Obviously, you can see he's a gifted guy because of the movie Vice Squad. You know, so that was a great experience. But I just want to say, I am now in the midst of a Twilight Zone experience. This is pure Rod Serling. Because I haven't been back to LA in 25 years. So here I'm seeing this, my dearest buddy I'm on the phone with all the time. And I'm driving I'm on the marina, and I'm driving from the marina here, and I don't recognize anything. This is not, I don't recognize anything. So to be in LA, to have shot that movie, to have all these images of where you are in LA, and then to drive here, to meet all of you wonderful people and sit
So that one.
Okay. These beautiful people who took such great care of me, and I know Wings. But then to arrive here, I said to Wings before I got here, I said, this is a once in a lifetime experience twice. Can you imagine another opening of Vice Squad? And apparently you all like it. So, love you all.
Wings, I think most of the audience wants to know, how'd you end up singing Neon's line in the movie?
I think I smoked like 3 packs of Lucky Strikes and then just let it go, man. I love the line, the hustle, the muscle. No, they asked me to sing it. You know, and I had a couple of albums out. They heard some of the music and said, why don't you try this? And I tried it, and that's what happened. It's just been great. Yeah. Not a big story. Thank you.
So, kind of getting ready to wrap up here. I'm going to ask you both about what you're currently working on. Let's start with Gary. Gary, you want to talk about your acting school that you do?
Yeah, some of my students are here tonight. So,
Really?
yeah.
Where are they?
Omar, they're up in the back there.
Hi, students. How's he
Great.
doing?
And by the way, wonderful, beautiful actors, really terrific. So I work with actors. I do a lot of that, and I've done some production, and I finished a long script that I've been writing for a long time. I just finished that, and I'm working on that kind of thing. But I'm a very, very lucky guy. I live in Montauk, New York, at the end of Long Island, where they have bodies of water on the north side of the ocean 1 mile away, I have the bay another mile away, and so I'm doing well. Lucky guy.
Now, Wings, I'm going to bring up your wife, Callie Lilly, so you guys can
I'll tell you what we're doing. First of all, we got this documentary. And let me introduce the guys who did this. Matt Verbois. He's one of our producers right there. Okay, Steve Mitchell, who's the director. I don't know where he is. And Dan McKeon, who's just been a super friend, just incredible.
I think these people are so wonderful. I mean, they've just been fantastic.
It was great. And as far as what I'm doing now, well, my partner and I started this company called Lily House. No, excuse me, it's not Lily. It's Callie Lily Indies. And she came to me and cast me in this film that she's doing. And this film went on to be considered in the Academy Awards for 2020. You know, and the little story about Callie is that we met when she was just a young girl flying in and out of New York to LA, and we got together just as friends, and we were writing together, and we just kind of fell in love with each other. And this is a girl who graduated NYU as a teenager with a master's degree. Now, remember I said I'm from the hills? I gotta tell you, being with somebody that smart it's a challenge every day. And I think a challenge for her, especially. But the thing about her in this film, even though this female is not yet rated, the thing about it is she plays this character it just amazes me every time I see it. She's like Bambi, but every time she opens her mouth, Einstein comes out. And it's this little girl with all this intelligence. And it's just a joy to watch. So that's what I got
By
to
the way,
say.
can I say something about that film?
Yes.
I reviewed it. I wrote about it. And I was overwhelmed by it because I know that there was no, in LA, if you don't have the money and you don't have the people behind you, you don't make anything. But Callie made this movie that at the end of it, I was just completely stunned by the brilliance of the of what she was, where she was going with it, and the loneliness, but all with reference back to literature, reference back to poetry, reference back to things you wouldn't expect. But she cast wings as a kind of God. I think you can call you God. And he was fantastic. So I want to give a hearty shout out to that film and for him and Callie too.
Right, so there you go.
So why don't we bring out Callie Lilly?
Oh, yes, you can. Oh my God. Look at the legs. I found.
She's a singer.
We have a chair for you.
Oh, I didn't need to upend.
Do you want to use the
No,
steps?
it's fine.
Do you want to use the steps?
How do you like my neon slime?
Okay, Al.
So much. Hi.
I guess we'll use that.
Hi, I haven't seen you at all.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
So,
Hi, everybody.
am I answering your
Wonderful
questions?
audience tonight. You're so boring. Well, as you, to pick it up where you guys left off, first of all, I want you to see the neon slime, because I got these for tonight. So I'll pick up where you left off, because I would like to say Happy International Women's Day. And during Women's History Month. So an interesting time in history and herstory, and an interesting time to be discussing this film. You guys touched upon a couple of the topics that I was sort of making some notes about what I might want to say tonight, and it ended up being an essay, and I was up until 4:30 one night, realizing it is kind of not just funny, because I thought it was really funny, and I very nervously handed the script to Wings at the time, and I said, I think it's kind of funny to cast the actor who immortalized one of the most hideously misogynist sociopaths, murderous, rampage motherfuckers as God. And I don't quite say that he's God in the movie, but he is. And he's a godlike figure, but he stands for many of the other gods that we and many other cultures create for ourselves. And in our movie, God, Dr. Goddard is his name, is confronted by a modern-day contemporary Eve figure. And she has a few questions that she would like to ask God about faith, the female condition, female sexuality especially. She'd like to know about Lilith, who is the other Eve. She was the original Eve. Things like mitochondrial Eve, which I don't know if it's a concept many people know about, but basically it talks about how all of our mothers originated from one mother in Africa. And so I thought it was funny to cast Ramrod as God. So the title of the essay ended up being From Ramrod to Eve and God, This Female Is Not Yet Rated. And he read it, and thankfully he loved it and played the shit out of it. I think it's his best performance. And I am biased.
It was a wonderful performance.
I am biased, but that doesn't mean I'm not right. So it's a very controlled and measured performance. He wasn't even allowed, basically wasn't even allowed to move. He's basically God in a corner. And God wants to be in a corner because he's tired. He's exhausted. He's kind of hiding from all the requests. And I also thought, I went into so many things in this essay, but I started to think about things like Hitchcock and how Alfred Hitchcock, he had a worldview about his films and also about our world. He felt that good and evil were getting too near each other. He felt that the world was becoming a very dangerous place. And that was back then. I mean, can you imagine you imagine what he would say about right now. And he felt that the audience must always be reminded that death is very close. But he also felt that you should know that at the end of the movie, you can go home and everything will be all right. You can join life. And what I found so interesting about the Ramrod character is that he doesn't just introduce us and bring us to a place where death is very near. He drags us into a place of chaos. And it's a rampage, and it never ends. It's like a shark that has to keep on moving to stay alive.
Jaws on land.
Jaws on land.
Yeah, you call it Jaws on land, right? And sharks
Yeah.
must keep moving to
Yeah.
stay alive. And so it's like a never-ending car chase, right? And it never stops, never stops. And the audience, and we love to hate certain characters. And we love to hate, but we're also in a way sort of mesmerized by the fact that he's not getting caught. He just keeps getting out of it, which I think is a pretty apt circumstance for our time, 2024, here we are. We're in a place, time and place in history, in her history, where it's never been this crazy, and it's never been this out of control, in a way. And I found that that was a very interesting thing to think about these days.
You know, we were talking about violence.
Yes.
And I have a thought on violence. Is that I think during the Vietnam War, one of the reasons why that war ended so soon, if you call it soon, was because it was on television every night. And we actually saw the product of violence. We saw our young soldier boys getting cut up along the way. The stretchers, you know, the pain, the agony, and then the coffins draped in American flags. And we saw this night in and night out on the news, and finally had enough of it and said, turn this shit off. And it seemed like the Vietnam War finally ended. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think today, if we really want to confront violence, you know, these kids in Uvalde who were massacred, what? Uvalde, who were massacred. If they showed one picture of that one kid whose face was missing, you would throw away the AR-15s. That's how you get rid of these assault weapons. You know, show the violence. On the news it goes, you know, they'll take you right up to the point where the guy's gonna get hit by the car. Well, show him getting hit, but show the pain, show the horror, and then, you know, and then we can make up our own minds. I just think we should see it. And, yeah, anyhow.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that we were talking about this situation regarding a character that you see and you're like, when is this going to stop? But he's got to get caught. We're all accustomed to certain structures, story structures in cinema. We're experts. We're all cinephiles in a way, because we are masters. We're connoisseurs of moving image and of music with so much media going on. And I think it's something that we all have in common here, and that many more of us have in common out there, is we are sick of being told what to like. We're sick of being told what movies we should see, or how the movie should end, or the story structures, or what should be in the movie. And I think that I ended up, when I finished this essay, I ended up recognizing that it was about taking risks. And the risks that you were taking on this set, and the risks that the filmmakers were taking, and the risks that I took making an all-female crewed film that was LGBTQ, that had LGBTQ subject matter, that dared to question God, that dared to actually directly question God, like literally asking questions. but not in a malevolent way, in a way that was rather respectful, but still taking risks. I think that we could use a little more risk-taking, but of the kind that leads us to a cultural lesson. I mean, some of my background is in anthropology and performance studies, and we've always had scary stories. We've always had scary characters that sort of scare us straight, or scare us crooked, or scare us awake, you know? And that kind of a character represents something that could heal us and teach us lessons. I hope you guys will check it out. We're in the middle of a pre-production of the next film and album. We also made an album. We worked together as musicians, and
It's called Even God. This email is not yet rated.
check it out.
Yeah. Sorry. Are we wrapping up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to ask everyone to please remain in your seats until the talent gets to the back there. So I want everyone to give it up for Callie Lilly, Wayne Zauser, and Garrett Swanson. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.